Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Danny, the Wicked Awesome Gardener, and I am so excited today because today is the first big collaboration from Wicked Awesome Gardening, and it's going to include multiple channels, and we're going to be talking about 5 things that I will always grow in my garden and 5 that I never will again. Yes, this video is going to include multiple channels, so go ahead, check out the playlist. I would mention a few, but I don't want people to feel bad if I don't mention them in my few examples. Just check out the playlist. There's a whole bunch of great channels that are participating. And I do want to give a special shout out, though, to Leanne at Mennonite Farmhouse, because this was really spurred on by her. She did an amazing collaboration that you should definitely go check out. It's all about things that they will and will not can again. And that was such a huge collaboration. It was really great, really well done. And she helped me come up with the idea for this one because I had been wanting to do a collab of this sort for a while. So thank you to Leanne. Check out Mennonite Farmhouse. Now, before we get into my 5 musts and never agains, go ahead and click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our videos and helpful information. I'm going to apologize for the construction noise. There is a Department of Public Works area nearby, and all their things are coming home and making all sorts of beeping noises and all that. So I'm sorry, I can't really do much about it. Also, the wind in this location is very strong. I can't really seem to find a little hollow out of the wind. So I'm going to apologize for that, and I am going to commit to playing around with the microphone I got and see if there's a way that I can hook that up where it's kind of out of the wind and you know, will help my sound quality for filming here and in the family garden, because it's going to have a lot of wind noise there as well. All that said, we're going to jump right into it with 5 things that I will never grow again. I will preface this by saying that some of my never agains are conditional. So if I had more space, I would definitely grow some of these things. But let's get into it with number 1. Spoon tomatoes, or any little tiny currant tomato that are this big. They are delicious. They are very, very good, but they are a pain in the butt to harvest. Half the time while I'm trying to pick the little teeny things off of there, they just squish. It's just a whole lot of space because they vine out in the craziest ways and they will take over a bed. So while I think they're adorable and they are tasty, they're a pain in the butt. So I will not grow little tiny tomatoes again. Cherry tomatoes, yes. Teeny little tomatoes, no. Second on my list of things I will never grow again is corn. I did attempt to grow corn in containers when I had my epic porch garden. I got a breed of corn that was specifically for container growing. It was a small corn. It's a burpee, and I can't remember the name of the variety, but if I do, I'll edit and I'll put it down in the description, so go ahead, take a look. If it's there, great. If not, I couldn't remember. I want to say it was called On Deck, but that could be wrong. But they gave instructions for being able to grow it in like a 2x2 grow bag and all of that, and it just didn't work. It grew up, but I tried the 3 Sisters method. Partially, this is my own fault that it didn't work, and that's because I planted the beans too soon. I should have let the corn get about 1.5 feet high before planting the beans. The beans came up, they grew so fast and just took the corn down. But it really wasn't growing very fast anyway, and it had difficulty germinating. So I think just the growing conditions for that container, it just wasn't right. And whereas I'm relegated now to growing in just some raised beds, I only have so much space. Yeah, I've got 4 gardens now, but still, it's a lot of space that can go to tomatoes and peppers and things like that, and not so much to corn. There really isn't enough space to make a large enough block. So until I have my own property, and it would have to be a fairly large property, corn, I'm not going to grow it. Third up on the list is orach. I put this in my garden after hearing about it on MI Gardener, and they said it was a very tasty leaf, a very good substitute in the summer for spinach because they're very heat tolerant. What I didn't know was the growth habit. They are not just a little like leafy plant like a lettuce or a spinach or a kale. They grow up a stalk. And so it's just one tall spindly plant that throws off leaves every so often, and it just doesn't give enough to make it worth it for the space. It is pretty, but also the leaves are kind of fuzzy and I don't love it. I just don't. So orach, not going in my garden again. Next thing I won't grow in my garden is parsnips. Now this is conditional. Parsnips, I'm just not a fan of the texture. I do occasionally like them in stews and soups. So there may be a point where I do grow some, but in general, it's not something that I'm going to use in my garden space. However, parsnips are a really tough root vegetable. Like carrots are such babies, parsnips will just drill down and that's a rock? I don't need a rock, I'll just shove it out of my way. Parsnips are great for breaking up ground. Another thing that will do that is daikon radish. So it's just something that's a strong root vegetable that just grows straight into the ground and can really help loosen your soil. And so if you're trying to make some ground prepared for, you know, a new garden next year, throw a whole bunch of parsnip in there or daikon radish. That can really help. But for me, I don't need to prepare beds. I don't really love parsnip except occasionally. And so if I really want it, I'll go grab one at the grocery store. I'm not going to waste my garden space on it. So parsnip, see ya. Now the fifth one may come as something of a surprise because it's something that I actually love and I talk about on this channel all the time, how much I love spaghetti squash. I'm the only one in my house that eats spaghetti squash. My kids don't like it. And so when I have a massive spaghetti squash that I've grown that's bigger than my head, like I grew last year, that's way more than a meal for just one person. So if I have to go through cooking an extra half or, you know, and trying to store it and all of that, it's just, it's too much effort when I can grow something different, which will lead me to my 5 things I will always grow. And that starts off with angel hair spaghetti squash. Angel hair, I talked about it so much last year. It is delicious. It is a spaghetti squash, but they're little. They're just a little bit over the size of a softball. You know, like 5 or 6 inches long. They're just cute little things. And you cut one of those in half, throw some olive oil on it, some salt and pepper, roast it. It's a perfect meal for one person or a side dish to a main entree for 2 people. The other thing about the angel hair spaghetti squash is that it was extremely prolific. The one vine of regular spaghetti squash that I grew gave me 2 large squash. The one vine of angel hair spaghetti squash gave me 10. So I'm thinking 2 of those plants is going to give me plenty to get through the fall and winter, because I was still eating spaghetti squash until just about a month ago. So now I'm craving it. So I'm going to be starting new angel hair spaghetti squash next weekend after I get back from my trip to New York City. And when I'm posting this, that's where I am right now. I'm in New York City with my daughter at her visiting students day or accepted students day for her college. So it's pretty exciting to go and visit her campus. My baby all alone in Manhattan. Okay, forget that. On to number 2 of what I will always grow in my garden, and that is, shocker to nobody, tomatoes. I will not, like I said, grow the tiny little tomatoes, but any sort of big beefsteak tomato, a really good cherry tomato. I need to find seeds for cherry bomb for next year, because that thing was delicious and it gave off a literal explosion of cherry tomatoes. So it's a hybrid, and I try to stick to the heirlooms, but that is a really good hybrid. So I would definitely do that again. So tomatoes are something that I love, I eat a lot of, and I will always be growing a variety of tomatoes in my garden. The third thing that I will always grow is sweet peppers. I'm not a huge hot pepper fan. I am growing lute showers again for making paprika, but they're even like on the Scoville scale, they're like a jalapeno. I grow jalapenos because I like salsa. I grow the lute showers for the paprika, and then everything else is just a whole mess of sweet peppers. Purple Beauty, California Wonder. Next year I want to try the jalapenos and to branch out into more sweet peppers, because I really do love them. I'll just go out in the garden and I will pick one and I will eat it fresh like an apple right off the plant. So it's just something I love and I will eat all the time. Fourth on the list is eggplant. I never really ate a lot of eggplant growing up. I really did not eat eggplant at all, except for the occasional dish when I'd make my ratatouille. I got a mini patio baby eggplant a few years ago in my very first porch garden, and I just fell in love with the flavor and the versatility of being able to cook these. So that is something I'm always going to have. I went crazy trying to find my Rosa Bianca seeds for this year. Ended up having to buy some because I grew Rosa Bianca for the first time last year. It's just a wonderful, creamy, delicious eggplant. I have to have it in my garden every year. I think it may replace entirely Black Beauty. The colors on it are just so pretty and the taste is mwah. So eggplant is something I will always, always, always grow. And the fifth and final thing that will always be in my garden every year are pollinator attractors. Flowers like nasturtium and marigold, herbs like borage and basil are always going to be planted around my tomatoes, and if I have extras, around my peppers, my eggplants, my zucchini, just anywhere that I might want to pull in pollinators and push away some of those pest bugs and hopefully the pesky rabbits, because they do not love marigolds. So we hope, you know. The troubles I had with bunnies last year, man. Without pollinators, your garden can't thrive. So I will try to put in as many flowers and herbs as I can, some native plants to help draw in those native pollinators like sweat bees and carpenter bees, leafcutter bees, things like that, that are not your standard, you know, honeybee that you think of when you think of pollinators. And that's it, my 5 musts and never agains. If you guys want to jump in on this collaboration, it is not too late. A bunch of us just put our videos out all at this one time. Just go ahead and make your video 5 that you will never grow again and 5 that you just absolutely cannot miss out on in your garden every year. Use the hashtag 5 musts and never agains, just like in the video description here and in my title. Put it in your video description and title so that I can find you and add you to the playlist. If you want to find me on Instagram at Wicked Awesome Gardening, go ahead and do that, and you can send me a link too, just so I don't miss you, so we can get you into the playlist. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for being a subscriber. If you are not already subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave me a comment on things that you must always have in your garden or something that you will just never grow again. Again, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time when we're growing some wicked awesome food from yard to table. Bye-bye.